Well, we're getting close. I just need to finish getting the rebar set. Then I can bring the mixer over and we'll be ready to pour concrete. Well, today is the day. It looks like we are finally going to get to pour some concrete. We've got just a few more things to do to be completely ready, but hopefully by lunchtime I will have this slab under the Little Giant poured. And that brings up a good point. I'm not pouring the pad for the new Say-Mak hammer right now. A lot of people have asked, is that heavy enough? Is it thick enough? Of course, some people have also said, well, why go any more than 4 inches? It's just a waste of concrete. But what I'm really doing right now is pouring a pad for the Little Giant, because the Little Giant is sitting where I need to pour the pad for the Say-Mak. So I have to prepare a place for it and prepare a place for the treadle hammer, get them moved out of my way, get the bull hammer moved out of my way, and then I can jackhammer out the old concrete that was under the Little Giant and start excavating for the pad that will go under that. And I'll discuss that in a separate video and exactly why it's going to be the size and shape it is. It's all based on manufacturer recommendations. But for the Little Giant, I'm pouring about a 4-foot by 5-foot pour. It's going to be plenty thick enough to support a 25-pound power hammer. For this section of the pour, right where the anvil of the Little Giant is most likely to be sitting in the long run, is a little deeper than 12 inches. Now, if you're lucky enough to find the actual recommendations that came from Little Giant, they have pretty massive foundations that they recommended. I think those are really overkill. There have been a lot of people over the years that have just bolted their Little Giant to a couple of timbers and put it on a dirt floor, or have used it on a 4 or 6 inch concrete slab. And while that works, it may not be ideal because it doesn't absorb all of the energy from the hammer, and a lot of energy is lost shaking, jumping, vibrating, and the hammer moving around the shop where it shouldn't be moving. But again, I do plan to discuss power hammer foundations and see if I can find some of that old Little Giant data and discuss really what they were recommending and what my feelings are on it when we discuss the foundation for the new Say-Mak. So that is coming, just not today. Today we got to get back to pouring concrete. What do you say we see if we can squeeze in about an hour and a half of concrete mixing and pouring into about a minute and a half of time lapse? Things go a little bit quickly. I have to put a piece of sheet metal by the mixer to make sure I can dump it all actually in the hole and not all over the ground next to the mixer. I lost count of how many mixer loads this took, but it was quite a few. Went through 3 bags of Portland cement, which was not as much as I thought I would use, so the materials are going to go a lot further. I'll probably have some cement left when I'm done, which means I will be able to do some other project that I hadn't planned on doing. But there's always projects around the house that need doing, so it'll be good to have the cement on hand. Typically, I will add some water to the mixer, and then I will add sand and gravel, then the Portland cement. Janet came down, took a few pictures that she'll probably put on her Instagram account, and of course Smitty had to come down and see what was up, so Janet and Smitty got to be part of the process. Gave you a little hand screeding the concrete off here in a bit, and there we go. Stuff goes by really quick when you're doing time lapse. That's pretty much the entire pour. That was about an hour and a half's worth of work for this first side. But of course, we're still going to have to move over to the other side here in just a few seconds. That takes care of the first section that'll be under the Little Giant power hammer. The next thing I need to do is do this section behind me that doesn't need to be as thick. It doesn't have any high impact tools sitting on it. Just the back end of the treadle hammer. The front end of the treadle hammer will sit on the extra thick spot that the bull hammer used to sit on. So this won't be hardly any concrete. I can't get the mixer in there, so I'll probably mix it in a wheelbarrow. Now for this side, of course, we're mixing in the wheelbarrow because I just couldn't get the mixer over there. The post spacing's not big enough to dump in. Unfortunately, the wheelbarrow blocks my only access back and forth across here, so I have to go through the shop and out the other door to get to the sand and gravel pile. So there's a lot of going back and forth happening here. But luckily, this only took a few wheelbarrow loads, so it wasn't really that big a deal to do all this. This is not as deep. It does not have any high impact load. It's the back end of the treadle hammer. The anvil of the treadle hammer will be sitting where the bull hammer was. And of course, that's about 18 inches deep. So it's a good deep pour and will take any abuse the treadle hammer might give it. Mix a little here, mix a little there. Luckily, the time-lapse takes all this down to almost nothing. Overall, it was about 2 hours to get to this point. Well, that's all the concrete poured. It took about 2 hours to get it all in. 3 wheelbarrow loads over here. That wasn't the 2 hours. 2 hours for both sides. But 3 wheelbarrow loads here, so that wasn't too bad. Now I just need to let it set up a little bit and then give it some finished troweling through the afternoon, clean up the mess I made, and see if I can get some of my tools cleaned up. But then tomorrow I think it will be all shop work, and I'll let this sit and cure, and on Wednesday it'll be time, this is Monday when I'm filming this, Wednesday it will be time to move the hammers and get everything out of the way so that I can then cut this slab and rent a jackhammer and jackhammer the rest of it out. It's about 12 inches thick, and I think I'll only get about a 4-inch cut with my diamond saw on the big 14-inch wheel. Hopefully a little bit deeper, but there's a lot of rebar in this. This was a good foundation for the little giant, so it's going to be a bit of work to get this out. Then there will be a 30-inch wide by 8-foot long base here, and like I said, we will talk more about that in an upcoming video. Well, that's big progress for the day. I'm going to go take a lunch break. I think I'll clean up first because I'm pretty much a filthy mess. Then I'll be back to work on this, but I think I'll let you go for now so you can go get something done. Hopefully you can make something in your shop, but do it safely. Wear your safety glasses, and we'll see you for the next one.